Привет, добрый вечер. It is ya, David Spletnikov, back with another exciting edition of As the Blade Turns. If you are new here, please subscribe below, because there are only so many of us left, with these Team Tutberidze girls dropping like flies. Well, this week, Daria Usacheva announced that she would be returning to the ice rink after only 2 more weeks of treatment for her recent hip fracture. And after thinking about the young ingenue and my own life, I was remembered and reminded of the things I learned as a 15-year-old. When I was in 10th grade English, honors obviously, Nancy Harmon taught us the concept of willing suspension of disbelief. It's an intentional avoidance of critical thinking or logic in examining something unreal or impossible in reality, such as a work of speculative fiction, in order to believe it for the sake of enjoyment. This concept is often applied to the theatrical world. Miss Harmon referred to this as the Muppet Theory, where we actively choose to believe that Kermit, Fozzie, and Miss Piggy are television stars and taking Manhattan by storm, even if we know they are actually puppets. The same could be said about being a fan of Team Tutberidze, or a fan of the singer Michael Jackson. It involves the same type of active delusion. Perhaps no one could convince us that Michael only had 2 nose jobs to breathe better, quite like Eteri Georgievna herself. You see, immediately after injuring herself this week, Tutberidze's ward, Alyana Casternaya, assured us that she wanted to continue competing for another 4 years, even though from all accounts of those involved, the skater without the triple axel or quad, and the Team Tutberidze coaches could barely last 4 more minutes with each other. And even the Federation had to visit the rink to assess the situation this fall. As always, Eteri Tutberidze understands the importance of damage control. Tell the public what they want to hear, and let them forget. Their fans will support the narrative hook, line, and sinker until it no longer matters. As always, make sure no blame is cast on the Queen Coach herself. In her recent inaugural YouTube video, Kostorная told us that her injury on a triple axel was the kind of thing that could happen to any skater at any time from any country in the world. And even if we are going to overlook that an 18-year-old who notoriously fought with her coaches would most likely not speak that way without coaching, it made us wonder about the kinds of numbers the skater was being forced to do in attempts to restore her triple axel and beat out Elizaveta Tuktamisheva for the 3rd spot at the Olympics. Recently, reports from inside of the rink were that Alexandra Trusova was not recovering in time to earn a spot, and more focus and attention was being paid to the 2020 European champion. All is not lost, as Kostorная will still reach YouTube partner status, assuring Tutberidze of her 40%, and that she remains working to pay back the Angels of Plushenka. Tutberidze's recent expertise in damage control is impressive, as she has forced the skaters and federation to remain quiet about all of the injuries, unless there is a reason to speak. Yet, in recent weeks, the trolls on YouTube and Twitter, like Sass to the Glass, have spent a great deal of attention on Morisi Kvitelashvili's quad toe and quad sow actually being the same jump. So the Georgian Spermabok, who can shoot right once in a blue moon, gave an interview where he pointed out that he learned to jump this way in childhood, long before going to Sambo 70. He also assured us that the jumps were actually different. These recent developments made me think about some of my most favorite stories, the latest and greatest concocted by Tutberidze, a true leader and benevolent queen. We must remember that Tutberidze is often criticized for coaching her students into the ground by the age of 17. Just ask Yana Rudhovskaya. Yet we have to remember that in the world of Eteri logic, this is simply not true. Why, Alena Zagitova is not retired? If you remember, She is simply taking a pause. David Spletnikov could follow along with Eteri more, as he forgot to follow along that Evgenia Medvedeva's supposed retirement was somehow earth-shattering news, or that she was somehow dating user Ruhanyu. He missed an opportunity for a video, and his inner Susie Orman is kicking himself. You see, Evgenia's career did not end on a failed cartwheel in Eteri world. The skater with a back so broken that she cannot turn to the left was going to be a pair skater. Her recent publicity stunt for Anna Karenina was really about her embarking on a new career where she would somehow perform throws, twists, and powerful crossovers, even with the skating skills taught to her by Tutberidze herself. And you see, criticisms that these girls are robbed of futures in the sport or otherwise in life and robbed of an education are simply not accurate. These girls are scholars, despite what your ears may hear when Zagitova hosts Ice Age, or when you read about the scores she received on her entrance exams. Casternaya wants to be a neurosurgeon with her athlete education. Doesn't that seem plausible to you? The only problem occurs when fans of skating or hosts of the skating lesson spend too much time studying the stories and comparing them to the accounts of actual events that occur much later. You see, when Alyana Casternaya withdrew from the 2019 World Junior Figure Skating Championships, we were told that she had some sort of leg infection. Yet members of Kostorная and Tutberidze's sister couldn't stop talking about it until it wound up on the message boards that the skater actually needed to have her kidney cleaned. Now, why would a young athlete have kidney problems? That is a good question. But by the time we learned about it, the skater was jumping a triple axel and skating with such verve that we never focused on such things. Even if our eyes could tell that she grew more than a typical Tutberidze skater in the off-season, these were all just details. The skater never did get that quad sow. But you know, this is a smart woman. She gave herself a Russian middle name, even if we all know she is actually from Georgia. And given that Diana Sergeyevna Davis is listed as her daughter's name on the Russian Federation skating website, we shouldn't waste time asking ourselves how many men we know in America who could have the name Sergey Davis. Surely, there are dozens running around Las Vegas. Eteri also knows that if an underage girl tells one of her stories, no one will dare to criticize. How dare you claim Usacheva will not return to the ice? This is a child. This is her dream. Are you accusing her of lying? You see, there is also a story that Angeloka Anna Щербакова broke her leg off the ice back in 2017. No, she wasn't too skinny or doing something too dangerous on 2 pieces of shrimp. It was off the ice. And even though we heard rumors that it was on the quad toe, that we never saw her jumping ever again, the story was soon revised. It wasn't on some dangerous quad that they were forcing a prepubescent girl to train. It was on a triple loop, on a cascade. And the injury was not at Kostorная, the house of injuries. It was at the training camp. This is very different, even if the coaches from Kostorная were coaching her at the training camp. But sometimes these good stories become problematic. Like when your untalented daughter needs to become an ice dancer and is being held down in components. You see, Diana Davis and the deafness made a great story during the run-up to Boston Worlds. Medvedeva's strange choreography was even said to be a tribute to Diana. And the program was initially choreographed for Yulia Lipnitskaya, who felt she was too good for it. And who felt she was too good for Tutberidze, even if the skater's technique taught to her by the coach was said to be bullshit all along. In the documentary 1+1, we learned that as a toddler, Davis was diagnosed with third-degree sensorineural hearing loss caused by incorrectly prescribed antibiotics and incorrect pronunciation by David Spletnikov. She underwent medical treatment in Germany, but her hearing could never be fully restored. As a result of the disease, she has underdeveloped coordination and relies partially on lip reading to communicate. However, the disability does not affect her ability to hear music. She has the most beautiful interpretation if you watch her performance of Moulin Rouge. And on the 18th of December, the year of our Lord 2019, Diana Davis announced on Instagram that she had cured her hearing loss on her own and stated that she could hear perfectly, maybe even better than ordinary people, because she wanted it bad enough. And while we would never accuse a skater of lying, we have to wonder the various theories. Did Tutberidze exaggerate a story to make a great documentary? This is the same documentary where Tutberidze told us Diana was jumping a triple lutz with 104 fever. And Tutberidze herself told us she survived the Oklahoma City bombing. So was she lying then, or is she lying now? Those who have worked with the skater assured us that she can hear a little, though there is impairment, and her partner Gleb is responsible for communicating instructions to her. And what about when Tutberidze had COVID last season, and Sambo 70 president Renat Laishev ran his mouth to the press, probably after a couple of vodkas? Tutberidze was sure to post an Instagram video denying such tales. There was a stigma about COVID. You see, this is a true queen. She could make you believe that Alena Zagitova was not washed up simply by showing a video of her jumping a quad flip being yanked up on the harness. She is a true Kellyanne Conway, and we love her for it. In other news, Daria Usacheva was announced to be withdrawing from Russian nationals, and it breaks my heart. But really, like we didn't know. Alexandra Trusova was listed as participating, and the Tutberidze allies like Ilya Averbuk told Sports.ru that this obviously meant that she had recovery from her injury, and we are just waiting for results. Yet, Olympic champion Natalia Besmianova, not necessarily a Tutberidze ally, gave a more colorful quote. It's good that Alexandra Trusova will perform at the Russian Championship. Is this a risk, given Sasha's recent injury? You can step on a stool to hang the curtain and call it a risk. Now is the main season in her life. If Trusova does not perform at the Russian Championship, she will not be selected for the Olympic Games. Only those who can no longer walk and are dead will withdraw from the Russian Championship. Those who can skate will endure and perform. Unfortunately, it looks like Tatiana Tarasova may not be able to endure and perform for providing commentary at the Nationals. The honored coach of the USSR missed another episode of Ice Age and recently had to bow out from providing commentary at Rostelecom. This honored narcissist recently gave away jewelry to Yagudin on Russian television in a very bizarre interview where she did appear in a wheelchair. We can only pray that Tatiana Anatolievna will honor us with her presence for the Olympics, where the Russian ladies may finally sweep the podium. Tanichka, you must be there. In other strange news, Trenkov told us that there are those who think he doesn't like Medvedeva by his judging on Ice Age, and he had a message to those people. Fuck off. And in other strange news, Alyana Casternaya became an advocate for the left-handed. In a publicity stunt, the European figure skating champion performed a makeup challenge with her left arm as she explained that her right arm was broken. And she told us how it is difficult to perform any actions with her left hand. I realized that life is very difficult for left-handers, because almost everything is done for right-handers. It is very difficult to do something with scissors. Cut, to write. Most of everything is done with the right hand. This is wildly inconvenient, because the same scissors simply do not cut. No matter how I turn them, they don't cut me. And from a person who always tried to do everything on my own, I turned into a person who, whenever possible, does this. Mama! But it made us wonder about all of this, because Kostorная told us, and this is disgusting, because it is inconvenient for my parents to run after me and help me, and it is inconvenient for me to constantly ask them. This is such depth and such introspection for a girl who has had a broken wrist for approximately a day and a half. But it made me wonder, can you even be a lefty skater in Russia? Tell me please, who is lefty champion? Which girl do you see from Russia jumping with left leg on landing? I cannot think of one of them in this great country. So I called some skaters who said, no. Everyone is taught to land on the right. No one asks about this in Russia. The skaters do not progress. It is like going to Catholic school in America in the 1950s. No one writes with the left hand. It is satanic. But these are simply details. You do not need to waste time thinking about it. Don't waste time thinking that Gonzo can't really be lovers with that female chicken. Just think, Daria Usacheva will be back on the ice in 2 weeks, and Alyana Casternaya will win the Olympics of 2026, even if you will see her participating in Ice Age in the next 18 months. Baka.